Hi YouTube, this is Darkon633, and today I'm bringing a review of the Star Wars The Force Awakens TIE Fighter with First Order TIE Fighter pilot. Now, this is one of the large vehicles that's released in the Star Wars The Force Awakens toy line by Hasbro, and I think it's a pretty cool set, especially since this is actually my first vehicle of a larger caliber, since I had other types of vehicles I bought in the past, but they're of the little smaller categories, like the Land Speeder and the other smaller vehicles, so they're already in like the $20 to $25 range. This one is actually in the $40 range, so it's a lot larger than a lot of the other sets. And this actually is my first TIE Fighter, so I'm pretty excited to actually get a hold of one after all these years, and I have to admit it was pretty cool. I got this during the recent Force Friday event that actually happened earlier this morning, since this will be going up on the same day. But while the event was kind of hectic, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, so I'm pretty excited to finally get a hold of one of the products in the line. I was trying to get a hold of maybe some of the other 6-inch figures and all that, but they were sold out before I was able to get into the store, so unfortunately, there isn't much I could say there. But anyways, I did manage to get a hold of this set, and while the figure that comes with it does not have the most amount of articulation, since it's probably expected by now, it's going by the old Kenner style articulation, I think it's a pretty neat set, especially since it's really large. I'm not actually surprised how big it was going to be until I got it out of the box. So, I think it's a really awesome TIE Fighter. Anyways, we'll take a look at the box here. As you can see, here it has a window-style type box, which shows the TIE Fighter pilot, which I already removed, so you see that it's not there. It also has a picture of the TIE Fighter, obviously, here. On the side, it shows Star Wars The Force Awakens, and that's pretty much it on the Disney logo. See on the bottom, there isn't anything, it's just the usual copyright stuff and so on. On the side, it shows a pretty cool artist renderation of the TIE Fighter pilot. And then on the back, it shows a little bit of the functions of the toy. It does have the old style where the wings actually pop off and so on, so that's cool that it has spring-loaded wings and all that. The only thing is that when it comes to spring-loaded gimmicks, over the years, I don't think that's going to last for real, which is a shame. It also has firing missiles and a rotatable turret at the bottom of the vehicle. What's also cool, which we'll get to later in the video as well, is that inside this cockpit, it actually can carry 2 pilots instead of just 1 pilot, so that's pretty cool that what it does. Because Star Wars The Force Awakens has not obviously premiered yet, it's going to premiere in this Christmas time, I don't really know how they're going to focus with the TIE Fighters in this film and so on, so it's going to be pretty exciting what we have so far. Shows a little bit more of the products there in the line. Just some of the individual figures are released, including the Y-Wing Bomber, which is actually from the Rebels line, really, but it's still under the Force Awakens box. And that's pretty much it. Inside the box, you have the contents, which is the TIE Fighter itself here. You actually need to put some parts of it together, since inside the box is actually in several components. Basically, what it is that the top lid is an extra component. The missiles are obviously an extra component. You need to attach these pieces down here. This little satellite dish looking thing slash missile turret as well. And then the 2 wings obviously are separate pieces. For the TIE Fighter, what's interesting is that the helmet, including the front end of the piece, is removable. So underneath you see the head. So I think it's pretty cool to actually see it in the 4-inch scale, and that's usually in the 6-inch scale kind of things. He also comes with this little blaster accessory, which is really small. We're just going to take it off the side. We're going to take a look at the TIE Fighter pilot here. As you can see, he won't have the most amount of articulation. Just like the Kenner toys, his arms can go 360 on both sides. Has only 1 point of articulation in the legs, which is the biggest problem, I think, since it would be nice if he had some kind of knee joint and so on, but unfortunately it goes back to the old Kenner days where he pretty much only had 5 points of articulation. But the head, at least, is on a ball joint, so it does have a little bit of movement in the head, but that's all you're going to get for the TIE Fighter pilot itself. But the main focus of the TIE Fighter pilot, I personally think, is not really so much as to be outside of the TIE Fighter itself anyway, so it doesn't really matter that it doesn't have that many points of articulation. We're just going to put him into a seating stance here. Then, we're going to open up the lid, and inside, hopefully the light will show inside there. So you can see there's 2 seats that can pilot 2 characters. We're just going to put this one in front here, and it actually stays in pretty snugly, so that's really nice. which I'll show here. Even when turning it upside down, as you can see, you don't hear any movement inside, and it actually sits in pretty snug. And now if you shake it, obviously it's going to move around a bit, so that's a bit to be expected there. Going on to the gimmicks of the TIE Fighter itself, as you can see down here, it does rotate all the way, so that's a lot of movement there. This piece can also rotate 360, and then you can also position it down for another set of missiles pretty much shooting there. To shoot the actual missiles, which I won't show on camera, I'm just going to eject them here. There's a button at the bottom here. As you can see, there is a red button at the bottom of the TIE Fighter. You press this. Trying to actually get to it there. Okay. Then, as you heard, the missiles fired out. Take a look at the missiles. They're pretty interesting missiles. There's these green pieces here with the red ends there and so on. So that's pretty interesting missiles that they got. The only other gimmick of the TIE Fighter itself is there are two little buttons at the bottom of the TIE Fighter main unit here. What happens is that I'm not going to completely let it go on camera since it's going to cause a loud noise and it's going to be a pain to pick up later. When you press this button down here on both sides, the wings detach like that. Because inside here, there's a spring mechanism that when you press the button, which is kind of hard to see, there's a little lever that's inside there that shoots off the wings. So it's to help replicate when the TIE Fighters get blown down and everything and all that. So that's cool that the gimmick is still there. And I've seen it on some of the older TIE Fighters. They have a similar gimmick. So it's nice that they kept the gimmick here. I just hope the spring lasts up over time. So that's pretty much it for the TIE Fighter. And I have to admit, for $40, might seem a bit pricey, but the large size of the vehicle alone, I think, personally makes it worth the $40 in some sense. And the fact that the TIE Fighter pilot can actually stand inside without it jumping around is pretty cool. It's also cool is that it does have ability to have two pilots too, so you pretty much get your money's worth slightly just for that alone. So overall, I still think this is really nice, and it's a nice addition to the Force Awakens toy line. I think it's definitely worth the price that I paid for. Maybe a little cheaper on discount if you get it on sale on something. It's definitely more worth it at that point. But overall, I think this is a really nice TIE Fighter, and I'll be getting a hold of at least the vehicles in this line since I'm really not too impressed with the individual figures, and I'll be sticking with the 6-inch line the rest of the way. Anyways, please kindly subscribe and check out Hirotaku and Gideon Blog for all the latest in Star Wars news and more. Also, please check me out on Twitter under DarkGone633. And please check down the other channels down below, including the WRW Podcast and a bunch of my friends' channels. But anyways, I'll be seeing you later on YouTube for more Star Wars reviews in the future.